when you try to invade the other territories, there is always a chaos or a fight.
We could see that the tribal communities, particularly the Kukis, Jomis, Mars, Paites and various others who have been settling in the Imphal Valley have their localities, villages, houses are being vandalized, vehicles are being burned, churches are being burned. While declaring or trying to engage in proclaiming this many of these areas as reserve forest or protective forest, there are a lot of procedural lapse in terms of identifying that some areas being under the reserve forest.
So are you alleging a conspiracy to frame some people?
In some way, because this is what I have seen in the media, the videos are going viral. I think the state should really step in. They need to have the political will to bring or try to bring the normalcy in terms of their basic livelihood first, the security.
Hello and welcome to EastMojo. Today I have two guests with me. To my right I have Mr. Vaiphei. He is a professor at the Downtown University in Guwahati. And to my left I have Mr. Ngamjahao. He is a professor at IIT in Guwahati. So Manipur is burning. There has been unrest and chaos on the streets of the northeast Indian states for close to 4-5 days now, and internet connectivity has been shut down. So I am with my guest today, and today we'll try to understand why such a situation has been witnessed in Manipur. So first of all, welcome to both of you. It's a real pleasure to have you here. My first question to you, Mr. Vaiphei.
Okay.
So what do you think led to the violence in the hill district of Churachandpur, and more recently it has spread to other parts of the state? So why do you think it happened in the first place?
Honestly, to me, the violence or the so-called the ethnic cleanses that is being occur in a particular community done by some of the majority communities in Manipur is mainly because of the territory issues between the plains and the hills, right? So the population keeps on arising in the plain areas, and they try to expand in the hill states, in the hill regions of Manipur. It's something like when you try to invade the other territories, there is always a chaos or a fight. But still then now, what the tribers are doing is peoples are invading their territories and they are just defending it. There is no other issues apart from that. So I would like to request my senior, Dr. Ngamjahao.
Mr. Dr. Ngamjahao, you're a professor, you're a published author and a professor teaching at the IIT in Guwahati. So to understand the violence that erupted in Churachandpur a few days back, we have to go back further to the incident in which certain miscreants took matters into their own hands and burned down an open-air gym which the Honorable Chief Minister Mr. Biren Singh was supposed to inaugurate. So do you think this entire incident or the entire episode of violence could have been avoided if that would not have happened in the first place?
Okay. Thank you for having me here. Before directly going to or answering your questions, let me go a little back in continuations to what my co-panelists had discussed about. So Manipur, as we all know, is a multi-ethnic society. So every events or every kind of issue is being seen from the lens of communal, right? And therefore we could see that this culmination which we have seen, the unrest which has happened starting from 3rd May is rather an issue which has been brewing in the minds of the different ethnic groups, particularly at this point of time, the Métis and the Kuki tribals. Actually, if you look at the history, there has never been any sort of conflict in the past, particularly between the dominant Métis groups and then the tribal Kuki groups. So in that case, there was a sense of coexistence which was very much there. A cordial relationship was there, but things have tends to change. In the recent past, maybe a few years or a decade or so, as one of my co-panelists has pointed out, these are implications of the scarce of resources, and then there's a competition in terms of maybe in the job market or certain others, the land, identity, territory, all these issues. So if one tries to see this from the perspective of, for instance, the issue of ethnic identity, conflict, and so on and so forth, one can say that these are something which has been doing the round for quite some time. Now, coming to your questions of where the gym which was supposed to be inaugurated by the chief minister was vandalized, and then which has sort of like triggered the issues. But I would say that that might not necessarily be the case of the recent conflict which is hovering around for the past 3 days. So what can rather say is that what is happening now and how it all started. So at the moment, for the past 3 days since 3rd May, we could see that the tribal communities, particularly the Kukis, Jomis, Mars, Paites, and various others who have been settling in the Imphal Valley, have their localities, villages, houses are being vandalized, vehicles are being burned, churches are being burned. So my co-panelists will give you a data of that in the short while also, hopefully. But what I'm trying to say here is that how these things are actually happening in the broad daylight, burning of houses, churches, which are being happening around. Even in the presence of the security forces with impunity,
Doctor, there are some who would say that the current events have been triggered due to the Métis community's demand for scheduled tribe status, which is which has been met with a lot of opposition. So do you think it has something to do or a lot to do with the ST status demand?
Now, how it all started was that the Métis were for quite some time been demanding an ST status. Now, the 3rd May rally, which was called a peace rally, which was a sign of an expression of a tribal solidarity, where the peace rallies were being organized in hill districts by the old tribal student union of Manipur, Achim. So it was a peaceful rally in sort of like in the disagreement with the granting of status to the Métis community, who was perceived to be much more advanced in all spheres of aspects. For instance, they are in terms of population they are 60%, and in terms of the seats which they have in the Manipur Legislative Assembly, they have 40, whereas the tribals have 20. So you could see the scenario of the majority and the minority issues, whereas the tribals are in some way apprehensive of this demand for ST because they have the feeling that if the Métis are being granted an ST status, because the tribals at this moment of time, at this point of time, since been safeguarded by this Article 371C, which safeguarded their land, culture, and identity in some way. More importantly, the territoriality. So they are being apprehensive that if this ST status is being granted to the Métis communities, it might lead to the 371C which preserve the territoriality and identity of this community will remain null and void. This is the apprehension on the part of the the tribals in the hills.
Do you think one of the reasons that all of this has started is because of the tussle over forest land, especially in the tribal areas? How big a role do you think it has to play on this entire violent episode?
See, for quite some time there has been a lot of things doing the rounds in medias. There is a lot of misrepresentation also by saying that some communities are engaged in poppy farming, and many of these teams are in the reserve forest, protected forest, and so on and so forth. Now, I would put it this way, saying that while the declaring or trying to engage in proclaiming this many of these areas as reserve forest or protective forest, there are a lot of procedural lapse in terms of identifying that some areas being under the reserve forest or so and so forth. So there is a lot of dissent in the minds of many of these the tribals in the hill areas, because they feel that there is a different law altogether, and then if any forms of such laws are to be passed, the hill area council has to be consulted, which is never the case. So many of these laws are actually being passed by bypassing all this. So therefore there is a sense of alienations, there is a sense of apprehensions on the part of the tribal communities.
And coming back to Dr. Vaiphei, so some people are trying to paint the rioting with communal colors. It is being said that places of worship are being vandalized. And what input or information do you have from the ground? You've probably heard something that has been going on in Imphal the past few days. So what do you think of the suggestion or idea that all of this has taken a communal turn, and do you think there is any shred of truth to it?
What disturbed me the most was they enter into the worship place called the church, and they destroy all the furnitures. They burn down the furnitures, and they even challenge the people and the God inside the worship place that we have. So those are unethical practices. Those are very barbaric in nature. It's not civilized. Till now, the tribers, even though we don't worship the gods of others, we never disturb the people who worships. That's our ethical norms and the disciplines that we have followed. In total, there are 41 churches before the net was shut down. So I don't know how much number would be increasing after the internet has been shut down in Manipur.
Okay. So coming back again to Dr. Ngamjahao, there are many people in Manipur who have suggested, said, or claimed, however you want to put it, that some people belonging to the tribes were roaming around with AK-47 rifles on the first day of the violence, which is on the day the Atsum rally was held in the hill districts.
Okay.
So and also some charges have been leveled that some of these people were extremists. In fact, some would go so far as to suggest that the entire violence was kickstarted by people on the Kuki side.
Okay.
So do you think this is true, and do you think there actually were guns? Because some people, like some of our sources, have said that at least 30 people were roaming around with guns that day in Churachandpur.
Okay.
So what do you have to say to those allegations?
I do not know to what extent those claims might be true or false. All I can say is that at the moment, since 2006, 2008, particularly the Kuki insurgents group, they are within the two umbrellas of Kuki national organizations and the United People's Front. So it's a conglomeration of close to 30 UG groups. So as far as my knowledge goes, they have the suspensions of operations, which is equivalent to the ceasefire agreement between the state government, including the central government. So these people have agreed ground rules where they have to be in their designated camps, and their arms are being deposited, put in a lock.
So where do you think the guns and the rifles came from that day? Do you think civilians were carrying them around?
I do not know about it, because as far as I know, if they have to be, claims are that the insurgents are roaming around. So because the arms are being double locked, so one key stays with the insurgents and then the others with the police.
Okay.
So I do not know how far these claims could be true or not. Okay. So we do not know whether they are in connivance with the security forces, or because we don't really expect the.
So are you alleging a conspiracy to frame some people
in some way? Because this is what I have seen in the media. In the videos are going viral, doing the round. They are boarding a truck in
Facebook
Sakti
and all
Mountains.
these other social media platforms you can
So
see.
I do not know, because rather we could accuse that they must be some insurgents group or something, because they have been freely moving around with those automatic, and then we could see comments saying that they are going there to attack the Kukis and all. And then we could actually see that what I could hear from the ground is that many of these civilians or volunteers from the dominant Meitei groups, that they have been working in connivance with the security forces, particularly the commandos.
Okay.
So they have been working sort of hand in glove. So which in the case that many of these helpless commoners are actually fleeing for their life, for their security and all, and we could see many people abandoning their homesteads and all.
Okay.
So this is really a very disturbing issues which we have seen so far.
So one thing that we all agree on, irrespective of caste, community or religion, is that peace and normalcy is good.
Right.
You said whether the violence or the burning of the houses.
There have been allegations, yes.
Yes, allegations.
I mean,
What
there's
the
mudslinging
Kukis,
from
right?
both sides.
Okay.
The Kukis are saying one thing and the Meiteis are giving another version of events. So we don't know what. Yes.
Yes.
So what is
Here,
your opinion on that?
in the Assam Tribute here, it was published in yesterday, right?
Yes.
Yes. So it says here it was here they have misinterpretations or a false allegation to what the Kukis, because when the Kukis were doing a peace rally, the police were surrounding the people who went for the rally,
Yes.
right? So they
I mean,
came
there
back
was a huge
home.
security deployment on the ground on the day of the rally.
Yes. When the rally was happening, most of the police personnel, the state commandos, are accompanying them, and then they need to safely back the people who are doing the rally back home.
Yes.
So the issues begins only after when the people reach home, reach their home backs,
Yes.
and moreover, so
I think most of the violence was reported in the evening hours after the rally came to an end.
yes, moreover, in the issues there are lots of guns and all those burnings and all those things. But as far as the state news is concerned, the state government under the CM or under the CMship of Mr. Biren Singh, they have seized all the licensed guns from all the Kuki inhabited areas.
Okay.
And the police has already seized all the licensed guns, and they have kept it all in the police station now. So from where will the Kuki get the guns and shoot when they have not even a single bullet in their hands? So it could be the other parties who have started and burned down the people house,
Okay.
because we have no reason to burn it.
Okay.
The only thing we can do is to defend our territory. That's it.
So coming back to Dr. Ngamjahao, so talking about your home state of Manipur, we have seen a lot of violence, unrest, arson, vandalism, and scuffles, and even many casualties. So what can be done to restore normalcy and peace? Right now the government has taken over, the center has taken over the rule in the state because of the violence, because of all these things that have been going on. So what do you think can be done to restore peace and normalcy in the state, and what would your suggestion the Chief Minister and the other top ranking officials would be at this present point of crisis?
Okay. So first thing first, to bring normalcy would be to evacuate those stranded civilians to a safer place, particularly in Imphal Valley. You could see that thousands of people are being camping in the, whether it's CRPF, first MR, second MR, so on and so forth, and then many of them have a trouble in terms of food, edible item, basic items, children, women, right? So on the one hand, we have also news hearing about the shoot at sight order, and then Article 355 being imposed, but there are a lot of things doing around in the media, but actually in the ground reality we could see that hardly any security forces are there, and I am even being told that in many of the district headquarters the security forces, particularly the police, are being asked to be stationed in their post and are not venture out. But on the other hand, we could see that there are a lot of the dominant Meitei Valley groups working freely, moving around freely in gangs, and then engaging in vandalizing, burning of houses, even ransacking, stealing of those furnitures, and even vehicles are being stolen. So these are something very disturbing issues which we have witnessed, which we have heard, and then which we have witnessed doing the rounds in social media even. So coming back to bring out a normalcy, I think the state should really step in. They need to have the political will to bring the normalcy in terms of their basic livelihood first, the security. So there is a sense of insecurity still lingering in the minds of the people even now. So therefore I think the central government, and then there are a lot of people have been pressurizing that there is a failure in the state machinery, and then the law and orders has been almost defunct in the state. So therefore the only solution of the way out is a president's rule, which is the only hope, because the people no longer believe in the state agencies anymore under the leadership of the state government, chief ministers.
So my final question to you Dr. Vaiphei.
Yes.
We have seen a lot of disturbances, we have seen a lot of violence, we have seen a lot of this and that over the last few days, and it has been really some of the scenes that we've seen coming from your state have been very shocking, to say the least, especially for people living in the neighboring states, Assam, Nagaland, Meghalaya, so on and so forth. So what do you think? You're from Moreh,
Yes.
which is also it's at the border,
Yes.
and there's a lot of stuff going on at the border with the crackdown of the military junta and all these other issues. So what do you think, which are the biggest challenges that the Kukis are facing right now?
The biggest challenges the Kukis in Manipur are encountering right now at present is that we didn't have a state government who is in favor of us. We didn't have a government at all. So the government is only for some of the communities who are the majorities. So now at present, to bring normalcy in Manipur, I think we should have a separate administrative institutions between the plain and the hills. That's the only
So
way.
you're talking about an autonomous council?
Yes, that could be the only solutions that we can bring it out, because there's no one to speak for the hill peoples. All the governments are from the majority plain communities, right? So who will speak for the Kukis now? We have none, unless we have an autonomous council for us.
So with this, we have come to the end of our discussion with these two gentlemen. To my right, I have Mr. Vaiphei, Dr. Vaiphei. He is a professor at Downtown University. And to my left, I have Dr. Ngamjahao. He is a professor at IIT Guwahati and also a published author. He has written books on some very pertinent topics. So thank you for for joining us on East Mojo, and do stay updated with all the events and all the goings on in the Northeast Indian region, and follow our website, and do subscribe to us and follow us on all the social media platforms. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to EastMojo. For any queries, put them down in the comments section below and press on the bell icon for notifications.